Hey YouTube, it's the Frog Queen here. I've got an awesome interview for you today. I actually got to interview my friend Alison Sampson. She's all the way over in the UK, which is quite the distance from little Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. Her and I are talking about her upcoming series for Image Comics with Steve Niles. It's called Winnebago Graveyard. I'm allowed to tell you that. So it's Steve Niles, so you know it's going to be a bit eerie. Steve Niles, if you do not know, wrote 30 Days of Night, most famous for 30 Days of Night, which of course got turned into a movie and everything. Her and I talk about that. We also talk about her upcoming Marvel project, which should be soon launching. It is her short story on Jessica Jones with a very special Jessica Jones. Please stay tuned for some art at the end of the video after the interview. As always, and you know, the secret answer to the video art montage in last week's video. Alright. So, yeah, her and I kind of, it's a longer interview. Her and I can talk. We talk a lot, so we talk quite regularly. I've interviewed Alison in the past on thefrogqueen.com, my blog. So we did get to talk about Genesis, I think that was her very first graphic novel. And we got to talk a lot about upcoming projects and everything. We talked a lot about Satanism. I want to tell you more about that, but I think the interview speaks for itself why we're talking about Satanism. A lot about Satanism. And a lot of other things, like differences between North America and the UK. Anyway, enough out of me. Without further ado, I bring you Alison Sampson. Why is it so unhealthy to be an artist?
Well, for me, I mean, how can I put this? When you're a little bit older, you have different health issues, or at least I do.
Oh, I've already got those, thanks.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, yeah. What was I going to say? For some people get all sorts of ergonomic issues. I don't generally. I mean, if you get this far and you haven't got a back problem, it's probably because you know what to do. You probably have learned how to set things up. But just sitting for so long is not good for, what can I say? It's not good for you.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard to burn off the small amount of calories. Well, the calories, like... you eat, really, I should be eating nearly nothing, and I can't really concentrate when I do that. So, but you know what I mean. You just don't burn off the calories, and therefore you can't really, like a normal person, and you're sitting still for far too long, and it's not good for you. So.
So it's very much because I write for a living, so it's very much the same thing. Then we're suffering from tendons and.
I haven't had that so far.
Oh, good.
For me, it's circulation problems, not being able to burn off the calories, and to some extent, I get really, what's the word? I'm used to working in a group office. And I find it quite difficult to just not be on my own. That's fine, but do you work in a group? Do you work in a group office?
I have my own office.
Okay, if you didn't have your own office and you were doing what you do, and you're in this room with all these other people,
I'd kill people. I would.
You probably kill people, but you
I
also
would.
have aspects of it that you enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
and aspects of it that came to benefit your work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just miss being with a group of people, and to some extent, they counteract what you get if you're sitting on your own, which is you get kind of, what's the word?
Cabin fever? Cabin fever, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. You get cabin fever, particularly like, where is it? Let me show you. There was something I was drawing. Oh, I was drawing this one, and I'm supposed to. Oops, excuse me. I take. Right.
Oh yeah.
This is one of my pages. I did this one. I was supposed to finish it yesterday, and I got to. I mean, that's not a complete page, but that's what I do in a day.
Wow.
And I got to sort of doing the houses, and I just couldn't do the houses in the day, and I was like, just go to bed and get up and do it in the morning, and I did, but it was sort of the first half of that drawing, first half of that inking, I did in about 2 or 3 hours, and the second half of that inking took me honestly about 10.
Oh.
And yeah, it's kind of when it's just you doing that every day.
Yeah.
It's hard. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how other people do it. I presume being in a group really helps.
Well, I mean, you know, when you think about, like, how comics were produced in, like, the 50s, you know, it was really, like, 3-4 people sitting in a room together drawing, you know, like...
And that's what architecture offices are like, you see, and I've done that for, like, ever. I mean, I did my first architecture job when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
And
Holy.
Yeah, I started when I was in school. And I went to work in a in fact, it was my very, very first work. And I went to work in a drawing office as a child. And like, you know, it was this huge room with people with drawing boards. And I used to I used to clean up the drawings and do patching and odd jobs and whatever. Made letter set. You know what letter set is? You're old enough to know what that is.
Yeah.
Do you know what letter set is? You do. No. Yeah, I used to make that.
Wow, that's awesome. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was kind of cool, but it feels a very long time ago.
I don't know.
Yeah, but no, it was all easier.
How long were you?
Do you have comics questions asked me?
Yes, I do. Yeah, of course. The page that you just showed, is it Steve Niles? Is it that series that you're working on right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's let me show you. You can get some sense of what it's looking like. Here on every page, I'm still like that. Okay, so
it's all
panel.
Hold on, it's all blurry. We can't see. The connection just is failing.
No, okay. Well, I'll
hold on, and then we'll show it once.
Take that away.
Once this comes back here.
Yeah. I will keep still because I'm looking at my camera. Can you see that?
Yeah, Skype is failing right now. I can see some of it, but Skype is being
it's rubbish.
It's crapping out on me.
Don't worry. Anyway, yes, that is Winnebago Graveyard. And I have to get it done. I just have to get it done, basically. I'm like, had enough of it. But it's one of the most BD things you'll see from Image, probably, for a bit. It's kind of, I've got a French colorist, and I feel like I'm falling into type, in a way.
Really?
So yeah, it takes a while to draw, but it's all right. And Steve's good, and I've got a script for 3, and I'm actually outlining 3 tomorrow. Yeah. And then it will be solicited in the new year. So I have a lot to do. I've got convention season. I've got to start and finish 3.
Wow.
And got to. I won't finish 4 before Christmas, but I want to get as much done as possible before it's solicited, because when it's solicited, I'll have to do whatever you do when it's solicited, which, if I remember rightly, last time was a real marathon, like a lot.
Are you?
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
Are you also doing? Sorry about the delay.
That's all right.
Are you also doing the lettering for this? I know that you did some lettering for... Didn't you do the lettering for Genesis?
I did... no, I didn't letter Genesis.
Okay.
That was lettered by John Babcock, although him and me... how can I put this? He said at the end, he said I could have done it.
Oh.
Because I didn't know this because it was my first comic, but I had a lot of control, a huge amount of control on the lettering that I didn't realise it was normal that people didn't do that.
Oh.
But I was very closely on it. And I did all the design lettering and the cover and whatever. And because my colleague didn't want to pay for a logo, and I wasn't willing to have the letterer sort of be forced to do it free, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I was like, it's okay, I'll do it. Or I'll do this stuff so, you aren't put out by it. And I've done the same with the current one. Claire is lettering the current one, but again, I will be doing everything that isn't the story pages. And we are... How can I put this? We're going to fill up the issue with stuff. So there'll be 22 pages of story per issue, but there will be also another 10.
Oh.
Well, there is another 10. There's another 10, which includes the cover of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So I have that partly what's going to take a little bit longer than just drawing the comic, because I'm drawing other things as well to go in it. So I have commissioned I've commissioned 3 writers so far.
Wow.
And one, Sarah Horrocks, she's doing horror film criticism, and she's done the first one already, and I will illustrate that. And that will be exclusive to the singles. And then Casey Gilly, who, do you know her?
I don't think so, actually.
Oh, you'd like her. She does. I can't tell you in a public realm.
Of course, I understand.
Some relevant detail, but she is writing me some essays on Satanism.
Oh, okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, no, it is, and so she's doing some essays on real Satanism, which I also will illustrate. So I have all these other things to do.
Oh wow.
So what we're doing is I think the essays will go, who are Satanists? Like, they exist in the world. Who are they? What are they doing? Why? Whatever. And then we're going to do blood ritual.
Okay.
I don't know what that is, but she is going to do something, and I will illustrate it. I already have done a blood ritual, so we're coming. I know it's really weird. We're coming to that, and then the next one will be. I'm not going to tell you actually what the next 2 are, because there's a nice twist coming there.
Okay.
And you'll find out, and or I'll tell you some other time. And yeah. So that's really interesting, because what we're talking about is already the comic is set in the real world. I mean, fairly unusually that there's a reason people like to set their work in space, because they don't need to draw anything real, and unfortunately this is not set in space. This is set in very specific locations in the Southwest, and everything is real, and even when it's not real, I'm making an effort to make it real. So even if you've got some Satanists doing a ritual that I have made up, we have made up. Maybe we haven't made up. Maybe it's actually, don't know. And so I'm drawing this, but I'm also drawing it where they are. So, if they're in a cellar, there's paint cans and flexes and cables and tumble dryers and whatever people have in their basements. So,
and I suspect the Southwest is full of Satanists, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, we are.
that's what's so convincing about it. It's like I went to, when I was in the States in April, I went to see Steve at his house, which was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was, yeah. I will tell you about that in a minute. It was one of my most amazing comics experiences ever. And but one of the things, they took me around in the car to go and see things and go and see the area. And I was like, you could hide anything here.
It's terrifying.
You could hide anything here. And, it's not very far from Hollywood. It's, you're an hour and a half from Hollywood. You could have anything happening and nobody would bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to find it because it's got this really weird geography of, sort of rural, valleys and gullies and lots and lots of housing people. And people have gone out into the desert from Los Angeles to live, just loads of ordinary people, but also to find space. And yeah, there's all sorts out there. But Steve's house, amazing. It's full of what you would expect Steve stuff.
Tell me.
I was staying in this little room in the centre of the house because they have all these pets, of course, and the pets are in the house. So they have this secret, not a secret room, but they have a spare room which is separated off from the rest of the house, and I was in there. And it was like you wake up in the morning and there's a coffin on the wall and it's a clock.
That's awesome.
And, it's just total. So, you go out of the room and just to the left of the door there's this piece of art and it's a Richard Corbin. It's just there. And
hanging out.
Yeah. And the house is full of that stuff.
That's awesome. And, did you take pictures?
It's awesome. I mean, I don't think they take many visitors, but they were great. They were really lovely, and we had tacos as well, which I've never had.
You've never had tacos?
Yeah, never had a taco.
Wow.
We don't have tacos here.
That's like crazy to me. I'm like, wow. I grew up eating tacos. That's so weird. I guess it's just a UK thing, right? Because I don't know.
We don't have loads and loads of your food. In fact, I would go so far to say, I mean, I was only on the West Coast. I suspect Halifax is a lot more similar, but a lot of it was really alien.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, no, it was. I knew the food was. That part of the reason I wanted to go to the West Coast, and we've wanted to do it for some years, is that I knew see, we've lost comics already.
I know. Well, this is still somewhat comic book related,
Yeah, but it's like, the West Coast has the best food in the world. It does. It's getting all these fish from the Pacific, and and healthy lifestyle, all these fish, and sort of combined with all this sort of natural produce. You go to San Francisco and you're having tea with wildflowers in it, and that stuff. We don't have that. You go to in San Francisco, you go to the supermarket and you have 10 different types of Greek yogurt, all of which are awesome, all of which are very expensive.
Aww.
And here we go to the supermarket and we have one type, and it is awesome also, and it's less expensive, but we only have the one.
Right.
And if that makes sense, that's the big difference. We have virtually no choice, and also our food costs so much less as well. Sorry, I'm still talking about food. Yeah, no, it's I think all the comics people should come over here because it's much cheaper to live. And the dollar goes a lot further. Anyway, yes, back to comics. Ask me another question.
So, what the name of the new series that you're working with Steve is? Yes. Winnebago
Graveyard.
Winnebago Graveyard. Okay.
Yes.
So it hasn't been solicited yet. Do you know the date yet that it's going to start?
It does. That's why I'm at my desk now.
Oh, okay. That's furiously working.
They won't solicit it until I've got it done.
Okay.
If I don't get it done, then they won't solicit it, and it will go back a bit. And I would rather it went back a little bit than what's the word? Me end up having to change it to fit it into a time schedule. And the way I would have to change it would be cutting out the bit that I just told you about, which was the sort of back matter. That's the bit that would go if I ran out of time. And I sort of don't really want to do that because to me that's a really important part of the book. And so yeah, I need to get at least 3 issues finished by December, and then it will be solicited in February for April. Although that confuses me slightly because last time I had a book in April, it was solicited in January. So whatever, I'm going with what it made to say. So that means you've no idea how slow I am. Yeah, that's so that for me is quite a lot to do.
But everything you produce is fantastic, so it doesn't matter how long it takes.
Well, I like to eat. Eating is good. Back to food again. That's probably why I'm so obsessed with food, because it's this sort of long-term goal, eating. And I'm okay with it. I think I've just had this break where I've drawn some Jessica Jones.
Yeah. How was that?
Oh, I really enjoyed doing it. Chelsea Kane's script was very me. Okay. And I don't think it was written for me, but I think it was very, very lucky that actually when it came to me, it had most things in it I'd done before somewhere, quite unusually. Like, it asked me to draw porn, which I've done before and got away with in a comic, you know that kind of thing. So there was a number of things I've done, and I was like, yeah, I know how to do that. The porn I had to entirely cover up. Oh. I thought I could draw crap porn, and somehow that would make it kind of acceptable. But no.
Marvel didn't like that.
Well, not kind of crap porn, but for example, I mean, you can't draw that much. But I sort of thought, if I sort of draw somebody's bottom and then have all these kind of circles, and then call it wet tits, and I thought the word wet, there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with the word tits either. And I thought, wet tits, this is very silly, you know, like. If you saw a magazine in the newsagent called Wet Tits, you know, you'd be like, these pathetic people.
Some bad softcore porn right there.
No. So I can't remember what I called it. I think it was, I wasn't allowed to use the word tits.
Okay.
But I could use the word wet. And I think... I can't remember what I did. I think it's just wet.
When does this come out?
September the 21st.
Okay, I gotta get my copy.
Yeah. The porn thing is only really tiny, but the thing is, if you do something like that, you have to do it. You know, you can't kind of allude to porn.
Yeah.
It's like either it is or it isn't, because otherwise nobody's going to know what it is. Doesn't make sense. That's comics for you. You know, it's show, not tell. And unfortunately, you do have to show people. So yeah, drawing porn without drawing porn. It's a conundrum. But no, there is a thing I did, and you will see. And the weird thing is, I'm just trying to think if I've got the pencils. No, all my stuff's gone off to my art dealers. I haven't got anything. But the thing I ended up thinking, that is more titillating than if I drew the actual porn. I'm not going to tell you what I did, because I want people to go look at it. But it's sort of like, it's an interesting thing. The more you cover up, the more suggestive it is, weirdly. Or if you cover things up in a partial way. So yeah, doing Jessica Jones was great. Could draw her, like drawing her. Happily will draw more. And I had a very kind of, when I started, I asked the editor for, I said, is there any reference you'd like to give me? Because I kind of, and are we doing TV, Jessica? We are not doing TV, Jessica.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've already seen some of the images, actually, you posted on Facebook. So I did see a couple of your Jessica.
I've not posted anything anywhere else, so nobody will really know. There is a preview. There's a preview coming out like really soon. Like actually, it might have come out already somewhere. In Choosing Sides 5, there is a preview.
Oh, okay.
And apparently, and she's in there, but she's really small. And then, so what I did was, this is good. Just look at Alias, and that's all you need. And I got all the books, which is great. So I hadn't got them, but I got them all and read them, and that was excellent. And they're very, very talky, and it's just this head again and again and again and again. And I have views on it. I think that's good. I think it's good that Alias gives me views. And, I think that's a sign of a successful book, actually, if you're, you have feels from it. And so my Jessica is based on David Mack's Jessica.
Okay.
She's based on the covers. She's showing a lot of flesh. And so it's the white singlet. And she's a bit happier, and she's still an asshole. Actually, she's more of an asshole. She's demonstrably an asshole.
Okay.
More than once, several times. In fact, all the time. And Chelsea's writing is really good. Like that. Like my story's only 8 pages, but she illustrates quite a lot in it. So yeah, this Jessica Jones, I think my nickname for her is High Summer Jessica Jones.
Okay.
So Jessica Jones having a bit of a summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, getting out of the city, getting her clothes off, enjoy, being a bit happier.
Yeah.
You can see her feet. In fact, you see her feet quite a lot. You know what I mean? Sort of, the less clothing she's wearing, the happier she is, sort of.
It's Jessica Jones.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want her to be... my memory of Jessica Jones is her being defined by her abuse.
Yeah.
That it never leaves her. On any Jessica Jones other thing I've seen, ever. It never leaves her. It's always on her clothes, or in what she's doing, or she's moping on the sofa. And I don't think... It's really controversial, but it's sort of obvious. I don't think a woman would wish to continue to be that person.
Yeah.
That if they're interesting... You would understand this. That, you have this experience, and eventually you say, fuck it, I'm getting out of here. And, you put your singlet on, and you go out in the countryside and drive in a fast car and do something reckless. And, it's not something that any woman wants to keep with her forever. And if she is strong, the definition of a strong woman is to throw that off. So she's having 8 pages of summer for Jessica Jones, and then Brian Bendis and Michael Gaydos are coming in to do this series, and I think it's been solicited, hasn't it? Has theirs been solicited?
I haven't gotten a press release from Marvel about it. They haven't released any images or anything. Like, I get 5 to 6 press releases from them a day, and unless I've missed it. But I think as soon as I see Jessica Jones on something, I click on it. You know what I mean?
I think I have seen something, but it's my job to try and have seen something. But if I did see something, it was after I'd drawn her. And to be really honest, Michael Gaydos, he has his Jessica, and I have mine, and then there's a TV one, and we sort of come in we sort of come in somewhere between the two.
I think that's really interesting, though, because that is one of the things that always bothered me about Jessica Jones was, like you said, like how she is defined by her abuse.
That really, I think it's cool. I think it's a good storyline, but I think it's important that 15 years later she's still not defined by it.
I agree.
Or at least she's got a view on it, like, you know, trying to not be defined by it. I mean, I think it's in my life. The worst thing that has happened to me in my life is letting something like that get on top of me.
I
That's
agree.
almost the worst thing you can do in life. End of. You know, where you have a horrible experience and then it takes over your life. That is the worst. And you have lost if that has happened. And therefore no woman wants that for anybody.
Yeah.
So I just thought that if Jessica Jones is strong, she gets out. And I know, you know, nobody's saying she's totally out, but like I'm very interested to see where this new Jessica is, you know, like what she's wearing. Because I think it worked for TV Jessica to be covered up how she was, like, because that was sort of explaining her. And I expect she may continue like that. But, you know, if that's the future of Jessica Jones, I don't know.
Yeah, I
would start to worry about her.
I really hope that the television version doesn't just ride this same storyline, because I mean, characters have to evolve, they have to change, or they lose their volition. You know, the story drops away.
Also, I don't mind. You know, say Wolverine has been Wolverine for like ever. That's the point. But you know, that's the whole point of Wolverine. But kind of, you know, if this woman has a superpower and her superpower is the ability to remain abused for her entire life, it's sort of like,
what kind of superhero is that?
Exactly. It's like an anti-superhero, not a superhero. You know,
it's not 1994 anymore.
No, and also, every woman is rooting for that woman to get out.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody. You know, and we're kind of entertained by TV damaged Jessica Jones, and we're kind of entertained by her, and we like her, and we like this kind of edge she's got, and how you know, she's not always the best person sometimes, and we can all relate to that. And but remaining defined by abuse, I don't think is actually a very real condition. That's. When I was drawing Jessica Jones, and I suspect Chelsea probably did this when she was writing it, and I was thinking only a woman could draw this. Not least because I have 2 crotch shots in the first 2 pages. And I personally think that probably I've got some positions that guys just couldn't draw.
Probably.
Just because it would be like, ooh. No. For example, I don't think it's a spoiler to say on the first page, your first sight of Jessica is coming. She's in a car, and I was told to depict certain things, and the only way I could do it was go underneath the brake pedal.
That's almost like a paparazzi kind of moment, you know, with the Lindsay Lohan no underwear.
She's wearing trousers, so that's good.
That's good.
But like, if she hadn't been, you know, that would not have been good. And and I actually had to draw it. I hope that it kind of works, but I actually had to leave certain things off the drawing because of. And but yeah, it's from underneath the brake pedal. So not only do you see your feet, but you see a bit more. And yeah, I'm not convinced a guy could get away with that, because if a guy did it, everybody, it's not that he couldn't do it, because you know, these guys can draw anything, but kind of, if he did do it, it would be like, everybody would be like, ugh, panty short, you know.
Right.
Not feel that this was perhaps appropriate for him to do. And yeah, so it's been, that's quite liberating. And I do that I won't say I do that on every page, but there's a surprising amount of it. And also drawing breasts as well. She's got great breasts.
Which is awesome because Jessica on TV is quite the thin lady.
Yeah, no,
she's very slight,
thin.
You know.
She's not thin. I mean, we also, I'm bearing in mind she's had kids. She's had at least one child, if not more. And she's and the Bendis Jessica Jones is not young. If you look at Alias, I think she's older than me in Alias. She's really, really, really not young in Alias at all.
Okay.
And so she's not young. She's got a kid. She's a real person. She's got a real life. She's been drinking for a bit.
Yeah.
Not great. And
that'll harden you, you know, your face and everything, right? So
actually, that's something I didn't do. Where my one is quite what's the word? Girl Next Door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You've seen her.
I've seen her. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not got a hard face. She's not completely young, but she's fairly Girl Next Door-ish.
Yeah. And she's a realistic. She looks like a real person. Do you know what I mean? Like she's not. You know, I was writing a review actually just yesterday for the Valiant Comics, the Faith #2 that's coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking, you know, in a world full of bikini-clad superheroes, this is so refreshing, you know.
It's also really significant that I don't read. I enjoy some Valiant comics, but I don't read them regularly. And I didn't think I would have any kind of identification with Faith. And I thought, this is a nice comic. Not something I'm reading, but, you know, cool. And then, you know, one day I was, you know, getting dressed, look at my wardrobe. I put on a bit of weight. And I'm thinking, well, you know, Faith shows her stomach. That's fine. Go with that. And I was thinking, wow, that's really had an effect. you know, that if Faith can show her stomach, so can you. It's like, if I'm thinking that, goodness knows what's going on around the world. So, yeah, no, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a much bigger deal than I think I thought it was. You know, where there are lots and lots of women like her around, but somehow, you know, you don't think you're one of them, or you don't want to be one of them, but, you know, you maybe are. And it's sort of like getting over this kind of denial of your body, I think is amazing. Mm-hmm. Just amazing. And so I think it's probably more important than people realise. Mm-hmm. I think when Joshua Dysart invented her, I don't think he had, well, maybe he did, because I think he's quite cool, but, like, I don't know if he knew quite what a big thing it would be.
Well, I'm not sure if in men in general can understand that the way women can, just because they're not faced with they have their pressures, their social pressures and everything, but it's not the same, you know. So it's interesting that Faith was created by a man in the first place, right?
He is quite cool. He's a cool guy.
I don't know him actually.
Sorry?
I don't know him. I've actually never spoken to him, but I've read.
I met him when I went to Los Angeles. I went and had ice cream with him.
Oh, that's awesome!
And lunch, yeah. And he took me on a tour of Venice, and I think he's one of the best people in comics. He's such a nice man.
That's awesome.
He's really sunny. He's a really sunny man. He's such a nice person to be with.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love him. I think he's great.
I do want to contact him, though, because I've been reading his stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I probably have to do an interview with this man.
I think you should. He has lots of interesting things to say, and I think he's got a lot of experience, and he's very knowledgeable, and I like the way he deals with social issues. He does, and he does it in nearly everything. You know, he doesn't think, oh, you know, I've got to do superheroes, I can't touch this. He sort of still does it.
Yeah, and in those comics too, there's like a lot of like you know, hit kind of, well, I mean, it's not hidden, it's right up front, but social commentary on you know, society and body image and all that stuff. I think
that stuff is a big thing to him. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think when I mean, a bit like us talking about Jessica Jones. It's if something matters to you, it finds its way into your work, whether you put it there or not.
Right.
And I think that differentiates us much, much more than, I expected it would. That, I mean, nearly all comics are really personal. And I'm not entirely sure how you can do a comic that isn't. And I know I do think a lot of, probably shouldn't say this, but I do think a lot of Marvel and DC comics aren't very personal. They have the superheroes doing their thing, but there isn't really any trace of the hand of the creators in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it has a lot to do with the high turnover rate of even writers on the same series. The constant flip-flop of changing up writers, changing up artists on one series. Like X-Men, for instance, all the X-Men titles, right? And I think that's probably why, actually, I stopped reading so many Marvel superhero comics. I still read some of them. Like, I'm always going to read the Silver Surfer, you know what I mean? I've got my favorites, of course, but I used to subscribe to all of the X-Men. I mean, all of the titles, which is ridiculous,
really. I used to read that a lot, and I've... what was it? I think it was the only comic my local newsagent had, and it was this is before I would admit to reading comics, where I would occasionally get X-Men from the newsagent and hide it in my house. Then I would throw it away afterwards, and I would read it in secret. And
that's so funny.
It was, and it was the Claremont X-Men run. It was a very. It wasn't great. I didn't read a great deal. I read about 6 or 7, and because it was a genuine guilty pleasure. Yeah. And then after a while, I thought, I'm too old to be having guilty pleasures. What the fuck are you doing? Who are you afraid of?
It's true.
And then I just thought, oh fuck it, let's go. What is this comic shop? What are comics? Let's do it. Yeah, and now I'm like, there is no hiding. It's...
I can't imagine...
No pretending you don't know what a comic is.
I can't imagine trying to hide comics. I mean, I don't even know... Like, that's what most of my apartment is comics. So, like, how would I hide? I'd hide the comics under comics? I don't know.
No, I mean, I am an architect, and in architecture, I remember this quite recently. I said to somebody about something comics, and they made a joke about capes, and I was like, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, they think I'm into sort of cape fetishism, and
cape fetishism.
Well, no, that's what people think. It's sort of.
I wonder if that actually is a fetish. I have to look that up.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm not even going there. I have a cape. My cape is actually next door. You see, this is the thing about doing a comic about sickness. Of course, I've got a cape. I have a page of capes on my desk. I have. There's capes are happening. So we're talking about capes. I have a cape. Like I say, it's on the sofa next door, but it was
So do you do black rituals?
Even worse, it gets taken out quite a lot.
Sorry?
Sorry?
I was gonna say, do you do black rituals before you start drawing?
I get up, I drink coffee. I drink coffee. I make my partner breakfast, and what do? I have breakfast, and then I do this, and then I'm good. I'm good in the morning. It's just work, and then no, I have no rituals. I probably should, to be honest, but I'm going to be learning about stuff. I haven't done it yet, but it's coming.
But what stuff?
You're going to find out.
Oh, okay,
It's going in the comic. It's going in the comic.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't think I'm not going to share it.
Okay.
Of course I'm going to share it. Or rather, I'm going to get somebody else to write about it. And
sorry, I'm choking on saliva.
The weird thing is, it's, I mean, particularly in this country, you know, there was in the 1960s, 1970s, there was people who, what's the word, were witches in a kind of a bit like the Wicker Man. There's a lot of
the Wicker Man.
I was going to say middle-class hippies taking their clothes off and chanting and stuff. And there were people who regarded themselves as witches and things. And there's that, but we don't really have a lot of that here.
Oh, okay.
You know, you never meet somebody who would say they were a witch. Whereas, went over to the States, met loads of people who were doing this, and it's kind of like, and it's sort of really normalised. And that's interesting. So it kind of works.
Do you know Rachel Nearing? She wrote some werewolf comics.
Oh, Rachel Deering. Yes,
Deering, sorry. Yeah, Rachel Deering. Do you know her? Because she knows everything about Satanism and black magic.
I drew. What was it? I drew a story in the anthology she edited, In the Dark.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I have not spoken to her since.
She's
not
busy.
through my choice.
Yeah.
But that's how it's gone. So I'm aware she's out there, but we have not talked. It would be helpful actually. I ought to write to her and just say, hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to pitch in? But that's an idea. I might talk to her about this.
She's just I follow her on Instagram and everything she posts. Like, and you know me, like I'm very involved in like the goth scene, and we run a goth night and all that stuff. So, you know, I love her pictures and stuff that she posts on Instagram, which is all kind of surrounding metal and black metal and then, you know, Satanism.
The weird thing is, it's trying to find out where Satanism really is.
Right.
You know, I can't think of the right word without being rude about it. There's the dressing up aspect and the sort of what I would call fellow traveller aspect, and then there's the actually doing it aspect.
Right.
And I think I'm not entirely convinced these things are the same people.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
And yeah, and I'm trying to find out the ones who are actually doing it.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think actually Rachel told me she identifies as a Satanist, like her actual belief system and everything.
It's really interesting.
It is.
It's really interesting what the belief system is.
Yeah. I have a few friends who are Satanists. Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I'm an atheist.
We will be exploring that. That's first
awesome.
Essay on the back matter is who are real Satanists? What do they believe? What do they do? What's the history? What's going on? They're all around you, more or less.
Yeah.
Maybe not here, but possibly.
I know there's a lot in this city.
Yeah. I think there are. I think they are. I think in the UK people are a bit different because we are. It's quite a liberal place, but also it's only liberal in certain ways. So, for example, we have, I live in London. We have quite a substantial African population in South London, or people from the Caribbean, and there are a number of lots and lots of churches of these groups, and there's shops selling food and so on, and it's all quite alien, and some of it, particularly the evangelical Christianity, is quite strange, but it's completely integrated. We expect it to be there. That we get, but bring a Satanist into that, everybody will be like, what? So we're good at some things and not others, I think. And I think Satanism isn't quite in the mix at the moment.
Well, Satanism
whereas
still...
in America, I think it is.
Yeah, it's still very scary to a lot of people. I mean, Halifax is a very, very Christian city. You know, Nova Scotia in general is very Christian and kind of Bible thumping in that way. But so being a Satanist is really a fringe thing even here. But and a lot of youth get into it because they've rejected, you know, the harsh confines of our local Christianity.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me that people will be looking for something else. Absolutely. I think things have turned around a bit here in a slightly scary way, where to rebel now potentially is to be quite conservative. You probably have that too. And we're losing... I think to some extent we're losing our edge. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced it's here. It may be, but I don't think it's. I don't know how I would find it. I live in South London, and to be really honest, we have far weirder stuff going on than that.
I really want to go to London. I'm trying to save up. I want to go visit a bunch of my friends.
Come over. It's great.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to think what we have that will bring you over. I'm probably... Oh, you'd find plenty. You'd find plenty that you would really like.
Oh, yeah.
Where I am, I'm in southwest London, which is basically South London is a sea of maybe 2 million identical little brick houses, and I'm sitting in one of them. And, you know, and other comics people are, where are we? Are over there, that way, sitting, doing the same. You know, Kieran Gillen is about, how big is South London? About 7 miles over there, I think. And David Hine, he lives very near me, actually. He lives over there, about a mile away. And, yeah, London is weird.
Yeah, doesn't Peter... oh god, my brain. I'm burning daylight here, so I'm getting stupid.
Lucky you. Carry on anyway. Where were we?
Yeah, I lost it. What were we talking about?
Yeah.
Are you doing any conventions this year?
I am. I'm doing a couple of things here, because as long as I haven't finished drawing the book, my first priority has to be to do the book, so I'm not doing loads and loads of stuff. I came over in the spring and spent nearly a month in the States doing a string of things. So that's been this year in America, more or less, already. I've got NiceCon, which is Jeff Giles' one in Bedford, that's the one who has the really amazing people coming over.
Oh.
There's Gwilym March. Jeff has a real knack for getting people to come. Brian Vaughan was there last year.
Okay.
I met him, and Gwilym March, Aaron Guerra, and the weird thing is, the mood is just a certain way that. I think the first year they did it, R.M. Guerra came, and I got a drawing lesson off him.
Wow, that's cool.
It is cool, and that's what that convention's like. So I'm like, I really like that convention. Yeah. So I was like, Jeff, have me as a guest, and this year I am. Awesome. And so I'm doing that. And it's a really nice, it's called NiceCon, but it is really nice, and it's sort of, as I say, he flies people in from all over to do it. And then I'm doing Thought Bubble, which is very, very, very intense. I was trying to explain to somebody at ECC what it was like, and there's probably nearly as many exhibitors as ECC in the Artist Alley.
I didn't know that.
But they're about a quarter of the space.
I always thought of Thought Bubble as quite small. I didn't realize...
It is. I think they think of themselves as quite small, but they pack in. It's spatially, it's really tight, and
Wow.
you'll say, for example, if you're I was in the big hall a couple of years ago, and they have the tables, and you have how they have the banners behind, and the banners are back to back.
Wow.
And you've got about the depth of a chair between your table and the banner, and then behind the banner there's another banner, and it's the other side.
That's crazy.
It's tight.
Like sardines.
It's kind of like that. So if somebody comes in behind the tables, you're like. So I now have a full table now because I can't cope with the limited space, and So they pack a lot in at Thought Bubble. So I think they're bigger than people think they are. I mean, what foreigners don't realise is that Thought Bubble, as well as having all these well-known people there and all these guests, they've got a couple of hundred other people in Artist Alley.
Wow.
At least that.
Wow.
I'm not sure how many tables they have, but they have them in 3 different spaces. They've got a lot.
I'd love to go. Do you know I've never... That works?
All right, I'll let you crack on. And I now will do a thing. Well, I feel like it's a good moment to start.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, thank you so
for
much.
talking to me.
Yes, thank you.
And sorry to talk about food all the time instead of comics and then advocate for the revolution.
It's okay. Always good.
The sooner it starts, the better.
Yeah.
Okay, good night, my love.
See ya.
See you.